Good morning, everybody. Today's date is July 27th, 2021. Okay, let's hope for a day of peace and maybe a little fun. So, you can see by the title here, Dusties ragging on Cynthia G, just destroyed an opportunity. So, here we go. Can I give you some background information? So, I trade on my own, but I also happen to know other people who trade professionally, and I happen to know someone who's a VC. Just so we are clear, for the Dusties, Goldman Sachs is not the only venture capitalist, okay? There are a lot of investment firms out there. And just so we're clear with everyone, this person is not associated with Goldman Sachs, okay? They may know people, but there are different firms out there, okay? So I was meeting with this person. I said, hey, I've been doing some trades on my own. I wanted to kind of get their opinion aside from their directive to say, hey, on my own, I'm doing this. So let's say I have an account for my retirement, my future. Then I also have a separate account to say, hey, I may have stocks in two of the same accounts because one, I'm going to go long, which means I'm going to hold this stock till the end. Okay. AMD is one. I said it before. I was in it at $7.51 initially, and it's now at 90 something. I've been in that stock for 5 years. Okay. And I've been in and out, trust and believe, rinse and repeat. I've done that several times. So, but I still hold shares. So the shares that I have now, I've already sold in my other account, which is an account I have where I say, okay, let's say this account here has X amount of dollars. This account, you can go ahead and sell some of the stock if you need to get a hold of some cash. But the other is just strictly long, don't touch. Okay, so that's how I operate. So I want his opinion on something. So I said, okay, I go over there and I had to bring my laptop to show, okay, here's what I'm doing. I kind of want you to look at this and see your take on it. A lot of information, yada, yada, yada. As I'm waiting, I've got my headphones on and I have my laptop and I'm listening to Cynthia G. And oh my gosh, it's one of those podcasts. There've been some intelligent black men to call in and give their opinion, which, a lot of them I disagree with, but they presented it. You have some that are presented there as well. But then you've got the Dusty where they'll call in and it's like, man, the woman is asking the same question. You can't stay on point. She's asking a question and you go around the way a bit and you go on. And it's like, what are you talking about? It's like saying, hey, what time's the movie start? And you're like, well, are we going to have some oranges or oranges or apples for lunch? Dude, we're talking about the movie, what time it starts. So we do have a bit of a little remedialness going on. Okay, let's be real. So something was said, I laughed. So after he's in his office and then he comes out and he's like, wow, what's funny? And I'm like, I'm listening to a podcast and I'm kind of in now like the black mode where you're like, oh, this is kind of like black people's business. Yeah, I kind of fell into that. So, and I'm like, oh, it's nothing. It's the podcast I'm listening to, yada, 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 the kind of thing. He's like, oh, tell me, I need to laugh too. And I'm really trying to avoid this because I'm like, you got this Dusty on here and she's like ripping him a new one. And it was funny to me, I laughed. He goes, I need to laugh too. So I can see now, oh my God, he's just wanting to hear this. So I just kind of rewind to the part that I laughed at and let him hear it. Next thing you know, he wants to hear the whole thing. I'm like, wait a second. I'm here about my money. You're never going to Cynthia G. So, okay, so I started over. He hears the podcast. He's like, oh my, that's interesting. This is very insightful. You've really brought my attention to a lot of things in the black community and just in discussions that we have, because being a black woman, you get to know people besides professionally and you kind of, you kind of gauge things. Yeah, things are going to come up. And I mentioned some issues. So fast forward, Cynthia G did a podcast on some guy that was on did a Facebook post, and it was when Goldman Sachs came out with the investing in black women. So Cynthia G did a podcast on that, and the man was basically saying, oh yeah, guys get, he was pretty much sick of hearing about it. Sounds like a hater. And he's like, guys, get your girlfriends and your wives to sign up for that Goldman Sachs that ends October 31st. So get your wives and girlfriends to sign up for it, and then you get the money and you go and build. First of all, why you gotta wait? It's like you're doing some kind of old hookup stuff. And that's the thing about our people. Life is not a hookup. It ain't always about government cheese. So you want to put, and that right there says a lot. You want to basically put the women out front, put them out front, and you hide behind them to try to accomplish something for you. Why? Because obviously you cannot accomplish this on your own. So it speaks volumes. So he says to me, hey, did you see that with Cynthia G? And I'm like, about the Goldman Sachs thing? I said, oh, yeah. I said, yeah, it started out with a Facebook post and some guy telling the ladies, like, you get the money, then you go and build. He says, oh, yeah. He says, yeah, I'm sure Goldman Sachs didn't know about that. I'm like, what are you talking about? He says, if it started as a Facebook post, Goldman Sachs, they're heavily invested in Facebook stock. So whenever you're saying things about these companies, whether you're invested or not, they have these algorithms and they can see what people are saying. Okay? Then he says, sorry, my allergies. Then he says, so they'll know about that. I said, oh, wow. I said, well, that's not a good look. He says, yeah, well, all they'll do is probably, since they know about that, is they'll just be more careful and make it a little bit more stringent, in their selection process. So I'm like, great. So that means because this Dusty has sit up here and said this post, don't even know how to move in silence, got to always wag your mouth. You can make it harder for Black women to get this program. Really? So he goes, oh, yeah, but it's, it's just, it's business. He's like, they keep up with things like that. I'm like, wow, this is not a good look. So then, so he's talking about that. And I'm like, wow, that is very, very interesting, very sad. So let me just kind of flip a script. So here's how I kind of figured out. I'm like, yeah, Cynthia G has a very wide, she has a widespread audience here. She really and truly does. So anyway, here's the part that's kind of funny. So we're having had this little dinner, this luncheon thing. And of course I was invited, hey, food and drinks, I'm in. So they were just discussing some guy. And I think the guy's like, he comes from money, but he just does he's just lazy, just dumb things. And it's like, I hate to say it, people sometimes they just throw money at it. It's like, oh, they're going to give him a shot. It's totally different in the Black community. You mess up one time and you're it. So anyway, this guy, he's just, I think he's just a trust fund baby, and they're trying to invest in him and the money is there. And he's just going to be, in my opinion, just a loose cannon, kind of a loser. Your living is made. So I think it's like saying, hey, I'm going to try and do something. It may not work just to say I'm doing something. That's how I see from what I've heard. So here's the part that's funny. So the guy leans over to me and he says, yeah, you hear about him? Sounds like a Dusty. And I'm like, what a white man says Dusty? Yeah, he sounds like a Dusty. So I'm like, oh yeah, he must be watching a channel. So keep in mind, if they're watching the channel, they're seeing the point of Cynthia G. They're seeing they're hearing and seeing hearing a remedial Dusty. Look in the comments section. Look in the chat. I keep saying the world is watching. They're seeing all this negativity go on between Black men and Black women. They're seeing the glorification of white women. And don't forget, some of these same ones Tyrone has stopped at their family. And let me tell you, for the rich girls, his chocolate Dusty behind is doing the same old thing. Dropping off babies and running because he know daddy's got money. I can tell you of 2 cases recently, and this is a family where they're pretty. It's like this person's they're millionaires. This person who has millions, it's like they're they may have some poor people in the family that they know, and I've heard about them too. But it's like, look at all these people, business people, and they already have 2 circumstances of chocolate drop. He's chocolate drop. Stops, the baby drops, he's gone, honey, left that woman alone. So they already know, okay, what's going down. So you think about it on a world stage, looking for a lot of people looking at Cynthia G's channel and they see the banter. There've even been other black men having debates, and they want to talk about a woman's hair, her looks. I mean, the girl's been a model. Look at her; she looks like a little doll. I think she's very pretty. So it could be a little haterade. You can't be pretty and smart. That might be a little problem. Pretty and smart, intelligent, and she is not weak. She doesn't back down. She stands her ground intellectually. Watch them. They want to talk about somebody's edges, what have you. Are you serious? White girls been wearing weave. Look in the 60s, in the 70s. Seriously. Come on. 1800s. Come on. So, anyway, so here's where we get to. So, you kind of get an idea. Other people are watching her podcast. Okay? So, I asked him, why do you think Goldman Sachs did not invest in black men? And he said, listen, because basically you look at it, a lot of them, they're just killing each other. So why would you invest? Why would anyone want to invest in a society that's going to do that? Then I said, so they would invest in black women because because that's who's doing everything. He's like, look at the Black Lives Matter. I'm like, yeah. He goes, well, Black Lives Matter, mainly at that time, you have a few black women that have been killed. But Black Lives Matter, they pretty much been killing black men. And he's like, who got that started? I'm like, well, some black women along with the financing of George Soros. That's my understanding. That's been the money behind it. He goes, what have the men been doing? What have the men been doing? They didn't start that, and they were the ones. I'm like, yeah, I get it. So he goes, yeah. He's like, that right there, the women are doing everything. Even the 1619 project, who's gotten that going? Look in the community. Look who's doing everything. It's obvious. Look, he says, look who has the children. Look who has the children. And then, a lot of them are following the black media because they already know about, look at the black women. Oops, sorry. Look at the black women that have been murdered for their stimulus check. And this person is telling me this. Look at the black women murdered for the stimulus check. So I'm like, and no offense, I'm just kind of direct. Like, this is like the whitest white guy. You know what I'm saying? The whitest white guy. And that's okay. No offense intended, but people know how I am. I'm just kind of direct like that. And they know that I'm not, being negative. So he's like, yeah, so look what's happening. So the women have the children. They're the ones responsible. You in the community, there is a matriarch. So the question is, where are the men? And that's why no one's going to investigate, going to invest in them. They're investing in the women because that's who's doing that. That's who's making the moves. The black women. That's who is making the moves. So now we have an intelligent black man who steps up and says, "Hey, I want to do something. I want to do something for black men." So he knows this guy's a VC. And he knows, hey, they can pick up the phone, man, raise millions of dollars. Like, wow. I mean, the way some people operate, and I am not on that level, to think you're trying to get something done. You need $10 million. You only have 9. Pick up the phone. So and so. I need to let me hold $1 million for this project. I got some other stuff going on. This right here is a new deal. They got money spread out because rich people always have the money working for them. So you got a second deal coming. So what this person, I'm doing this on my own. Oh, okay. Projects all around. It's like, wow, you got to be kidding me. Properties, hotels, is crazy. So-and-so drops $1 million. Just like that. They got the 10 million. The bank checks and see, oh yeah, you got the 10 million that's needed for this right here. The loan goes through. He gives the guy $1 million back. That's how they operate. The ones I know, some people you can't even loan $50 to. So you look at it, they'll have business deals going on, and then they'll also have their own thing going on. Oh, I'm doing this myself. So you've got money spread out in different things. Again, that's why I'm always saying build. You have to start somewhere, okay? I've seen them, they'll buy a house together, $7 million. No, one was $15 million, but nobody's moving in, and they're just waiting. 3 years later, the house sells for $31 million. An investment. Getting together on the phone. Friends on the phone. How in the world? Let's go ahead and buy this house, holding it. Next thing you know, that one, the one I think was like 7. And then the next thing you know, it sells for 12. 2 years. You got to be kidding me. How real estate can just move. Just crazy. But you're seeing how they move. So, knowing the background of this, a young black man, he approaches. And he's like, he wants to get something started for black men. Yeah. And he knows these they can make it happen. Want to get something started for black men. He gave the pitch, said what he had to say, and it seemed like a good idea. But the fact that they said it was for black men, the answer was no. They said it'll never work. He was told they're not willing to invest. It'll never work. They're not going to listen. They're not going to hear you. It's a bad investment. He was also told it won't work with black men because they're not like black women. They're not going to listen and want to do the work. So no one's going to take a chance on it. The person, and so I inquired because I heard, I said, I wonder how that kind of went, I wonder how that went. And so I was told, yeah, the answer is no, that they're just not going to listen. It's just not, it's a bad investment. No one's going to put any money into it. Now, he may shop around and somebody else might. But with these VCs, the answer was no. He said it was for black men. He said black women are hardworking and they're willing to do the work. They're willing to listen. They said it's just not going to work with black men. So he was declined. Then, here's the part that's interesting. I said, maybe he can try and, pitch it to someone else. And it's like, no. I said, maybe he better try to contact Goldman Sachs. I'm like, but that right there, they've done the research that shows black women. And then the person said this to me. Oh, of course, they know about black women. He said, do you honestly think Goldman Sachs? He said, listen, he said, he was talking about how Cynthia G needs to be careful. He's like, yeah, she needs to be careful because, these guys, they really become unhinged. They won't even mention about the gun. Cynthia G did, and I had to go, I'm like, have I seen that one yet? Something about what was it? Oh, yeah, she showed her gun. So one had even mentioned that about her gun. And he's like, yeah, she might need to get something more than that because these guys come unhinged and you never know. That gun she has, it may not be able to stop a 200-pound man. Someone needs to get a message to her. You need to get something a little bit heavier because they easily become unhinged when things aren't working their way. That's what he said. He then said to me, besides, he said, who wanted to make an investment? He said, I said, what do you think about the threats that she's been getting? He says, oh, that's already in. He said, that's been in place. He said, let's say Goldman Sachs before they make this decision. He said, they bring people in to say, hey, what could happen? So they expect this, but they figure, and here's the kind of unpleasant part. He says, they figure they're black men. What can they do? They may talk and get angry, but what can they do? So that right there, he said, they've already figured out what could be the possible fallout. And he's like, yeah, he says, why do you think nobody wants to invest in all that venom? He said, you don't think that Goldman Sachs is watching Cynthia G? He said, they have people that watch Cynthia G. Well, heck, I didn't know. He says, you don't think they know? He says, you think they don't know what's going on? You think they don't watch Cynthia G? He said, they have people that watch Cynthia G. He said, they already knew when they launched the program, it was going to be some haterade, even on YouTube. And I thought, wow. He's like, yeah, they bring people in and they do like these little, I forget what you call it, but they do like meetings to say, okay, this would happen. What could be the fallout? And he said, the only fallout that it could be would be black men. And he's like, and so what can they do? What can they do? They're not going to, because the black men are going to get mad. No, they're going to move forward. Because he said, they see who the strong one is. Not my words. This is what I'm being told. They see who the strong one is. And this is a person, let's say you're ready to go out the country, okay? Oh, you're going to go to France. Listen, I keep telling you, they have resources. Man, you'll be looking up, oh, they have resources. Uh-huh. And then you look up as far as like going to France or what have you, man, you will look up and they'll be like, oh yeah, you are not a problem. Why? You can go stay in this friend's house. They have a villa there. They have it like that. They have homes. They have Friends International. And they don't care if you're black. You know this person, you're good. You know this person, you are good. So yeah, he says they see who the strong one is. So you think about it. A young black man is trying to present an opportunity to tire for the black man, and look at it. There, besides the violence that you see, you have no idea who's watching these darn podcasts. So they've been watching. I didn't know it. They've been watching Cynthia G. They've been watching. Discussing Cynthia G. And I don't mean somebody who, well, he make $100,000 a year. Dummy, I've done that before. And you think you balling? Are you serious? I've done that before. Heck, I did that in 2014, boo. Got tired of traveling and worn out. But yeah, it's like, I mean, are you serious? You think that's some money? No, sweetie. They're born into money. This is not, so this is on the Dusty, it's above your pay scale. But I want them to know you're running your mouth out here in the streets, you're looking stupid, attacking black women, and guess what? They're watching. So all this dust you've been spreading around, hating on black women, attacking them, all these horrible comments you're making, they're sitting back watching. So because of you, besides the violence, they're on social media too, and they see the interaction. And now the Dusty, since you want to attack women, they see your MO. They're saying, we know who the strong one is. And they're not going to invest in you. A young black man approached them, and it seemed like a pretty good idea. I was like, oh, okay, I'm sure it's, pretty good. It was for black men. No takers. No takers. So Dusties, hats off to you. You even make it harder for the black men that are trying to prosper. You had a tendency to mess that up. Honestly and truly, the dust buckets, you have done it again. You've done it again. So it's probably too late. All these videos on her channel, which you're calling in and attacking and talking about edges, it's like, who? You just show your idiosyncratic behavior. You just show your delinquency. So you have ruined an opportunity. A black man trying to present something, and it's only for black men, and he got a hell to the no. Not gonna work. Why? No one's trying to invest in black men, and that's really sad. And especially when there are a few that are worthy and deserving. There are young men that they could pull up. But now the dust bucket, like I said, a lot of them think, oh, they're just talking about black women. We don't care. Black them sisters ain't worried about it. When intellectual lame, guess what? They're doing the same thing. They're dragging you down. They didn't say, certain black men, and it was out. No takers. No takers. No takers. They have no idea of the danger that they do. No idea. I befriended a person, unbelievable. I mean, this is why I say I want black women to venture out. Venture out. You can learn so much. You may have more. Let's say you have more than one home. Put that in an LLC, girl. The cheapest one you got. Oh, that's the one you keep in your name in case somebody's trying to come for you. You have no idea. Our people are operating. We got black women. It's a whole world out there, honey. Get away from that dust. You got people now. You look up. How the heck you got all these homes that are yours in a trust, but the one, and this is funny, but the one that's in your name is, what is this here? It's like they have now some of them are high end, I will say. Like a manufactured home, like, wow. I mean, I didn't even know they got millionaires that are, what is this, having in a trailer home. And the trailer home is like, wow. I mean, they're like hiring designers. You're like, gotta be kidding me. That's near the beach, so we can't do a beach house. Millionaire trailer homes, that stuff is laid, and they got surfboards and stuff. You're like, what millionaire has a trailer home? To a Dusty, oh, they ain't got no money. You are so stupid and so full of dust. You are so dumb. Millionaires have, Google it. Millionaire trailer homes. Dusty, you can't even afford the darn lot fee, the HOA fee. Black women, it's a whole new world out there. The negativity that you might be getting some, besides the Dusties, from the mammies, even from your mother. Trust me, I know. The negativity, let it go. They want to keep you down with them. There's a whole new world out there. You are so freaking respected, Black woman, and you don't even know it half the time. That's how you're doing what you do, because you're hanging around these Dusties. The people I'm talking, this is money. This is not the layaway plan at Big Lots. They respect you. So the Dusties, you have no idea. A lot of money has been watching Cynthia G, and it's embarrassing to see that they can see the interaction. They've been watching Cynthia G, and this one VC right here been watching this channel because he told me, it's like, you really like me on quite a few things, for the Black community. So he's been watching Cynthia G, and now a Black man that he knows so very well has approached him, wanted this here, that's for Black men, and he's been given a big fat no. But you don't hear me though. So Dusties, keep up the work. Keep bringing your own down. You guys do a heck of a job. You're doing a heck of a job. It is so embarrassing. And I feel for the Black man. He tried. Brother, you tried. But those dust buckets, honey, that's who wanted for you. He tried. So yeah, I had no idea. It's like, you don't think Goldman Sachs watching Cynthia G? And I thought, wow. Then I thought, uh-oh. So ladies, what kind of look is that? If they're watching Cynthia G, what does that say? If they're watching, which obviously they are, they're watching Cynthia G, all I can say is that dust has reached a new level of ignorance. They're holding back their own community. So yeah, so an opportunity has been lost. Like I said, he said it was for Black men. He was told it'll never work. He said Black men are holding down. Black women are holding it down. The Black men are not going to listen. They're not going to put the work in like the Black woman. No takers. So his idea, he might want to reverse it, but yeah, he's a Black man trying to get something going, and he's done well for himself. Trust me, the one I'm talking about, he's not a poor man. Heck no, he's done well for himself. Hang around these people, he's able to grow his wealth. Wants to launch an idea. So that is what I wanted to share with you. Maybe the Dusties will stop harassing her, but just stop and think. Out of all the communication that we see on her show, the podcast, all the attacks, the negativity in the chats, in the comment section, the world is watching. It's so embarrassing. Dusties, the world is watching. Dusty today, you don't have to be dusty tomorrow. It has to stop. So you just have ruined an opportunity to help other Black men. So I did a video talking about Black women. No one's coming to save you. I might have to do that right there. We might have to do a retraction because the Black women are getting some help from the help is not coming from the community. It's coming from other communities. The Black women are getting the help. So Black men, we know darn well, ain't nobody coming to save you. Dusties, ain't nobody coming to save you. They ain't coming today, and tomorrow don't look so good either. So roll your boat down off that dusty cliff. You bought this. Thanks for watching. Feel free to comment, like, subscribe, and share. And I am out. Ladies, keep doing what you're doing. In the words of Tupac, maybe not in the Black community, but you are appreciated. Thank you.